In the bitter winter of 1943, deep in the ruins of the Eastern Front, a small, unassuming barn became the stage for an extraordinary act of battlefield ingenuity. Hidden atop its roof, a single sniper prepared to face an enemy patrol, armed with a standard rifle and an intimate knowledge of the surrounding terrain. His position, makeshift yet ingenious, was so effective that higher command later banned its use after it had already stopped an entire enemy patrol in its tracks. The sniper in question was WWII, the Finnish marksman who would become legendary during the Winter War of 1939–1940, or one of his contemporaries in the brutal battles between Soviet and German forces. Known for his meticulous camouflage and ability to strike undetected, WWII perfected the use of elevated positions to maximize line of sight while minimizing exposure. Barns, haylofts, and ruined structures became his sniper nests, places where a single rifleman could dominate a sector and inflict disproportionate damage on advancing forces. This particular incident occurred during a small-scale engagement in which a patrol of enemy infantry advanced toward Finnish or Soviet positions, unaware of the deadly threat above. The sniper, concealed atop the barn roof with improvised cover and surrounded by the frozen landscape, waited with patience and precision. Every movement of the enemy soldiers was observed, every target assessed for vulnerability, before the rifle was carefully aligned and fired. What makes this story remarkable is not just the kill count, but the psychological effect on the enemy. Within moments, the entire patrol was neutralized or forced to retreat, confused and demoralized by an unseen adversary capable of dominating an entire approach with a single rifle. Reports from both sides confirm that such elevated improvised nests were among the most feared positions in the theater of war, demonstrating how terrain, ingenuity, and patience could amplify the effectiveness of a single sniper. Historians note that elevated sniper nests were typically banned or discouraged after initial successes precisely because they disrupted broader operational plans. While deadly for the enemy, such positions could expose the sniper to counterattacks or artillery fire once discovered. Yet, in this case, the sniper's effectiveness forced commanders to reconsider conventional tactics, showing that ingenuity and positioning could sometimes outweigh numerical advantage. The barn roof nest exemplifies a recurring theme in sniper history: the intersection of environmental mastery, patience, and precise marksmanship. Like Vasily Zaitsev in Stalingrad or WWII in Finland, this sniper leveraged his surroundings to amplify his lethality, turning an otherwise ordinary structure into a deadly platform capable of shaping the course of an engagement. The sniper's preparation was meticulous. Before ascending the barn roof, he studied the patrol's likely routes, noting cover, shadows, and the timing of movements across open terrain. The winter conditions amplified the challenges. Frostbite, snow glare, and bitter wind threatened both mobility and concentration. Yet, by understanding the environment and adapting to its hazards, the sniper transformed the barn into a lethal vantage point. Camouflage was critical. Using branches, hay, and tattered boards, he concealed both himself and his rifle, blending the nest seamlessly with the barn's roof and the surrounding countryside. This level of concealment ensured that the enemy patrol could not detect him even at close range. The sniper's movements were deliberate and minimal, a necessity to avoid revealing his position. Every adjustment of the rifle or shift in body position was calculated with precision, ensuring that the nest remained virtually invisible. Once the patrol entered the sniper's line of sight, the engagement began. Firing from the elevated roof allowed the sniper to observe the entire patrol simultaneously, selecting the most exposed and critical targets first. Shots were delivered with careful attention to distance, wind, and trajectory, demonstrating both technical skill and patience. The elevated position amplified the rifle's effectiveness. Gravity-aided bullet trajectory, Visibility over obstacles improved target acquisition, and the enemy had limited options for cover. Within minutes, the sniper had incapacitated the patrol's point man, causing confusion among the remaining soldiers. As panic spread, he continued to engage the most exposed targets, forcing the rest of the patrol to halt and seek cover. According to wartime reports and after-action accounts, the entire patrol was effectively neutralized before reinforcements could arrive, demonstrating how one skilled marksman could dominate a segment of the battlefield. The tactical significance of the barn roof nest went beyond immediate kills. The engagement forced enemy commanders to reconsider approach routes, troop deployment, and reconnaissance procedures. Elevated sniper positions like this one created psychological pressure. Soldiers moved cautiously, slowed their advance, and became vulnerable to secondary attacks. This combination of lethal precision and fear amplified the sniper's impact far beyond the size of his immediate target. However, the extreme effectiveness of such nests also prompted command-level restrictions. Higher-ranking officers recognized that while the sniper could dominate a local area, discovery of the position could result in artillery strikes or counter-sniper operations. Consequently, the use of exposed elevated nests like barn roofs was eventually banned or heavily regulated, a rare example of a tactical innovation being curtailed due to its own effectiveness. Yet, by the time the prohibition was enforced, the sniper had already stopped an entire patrol, leaving a lasting impression on both comrades and the enemy. The barn roof nest illustrates core principles of sniper warfare: environmental mastery, patience, concealment, and precision. Even with standard issue equipment, a marksman who understands terrain and human behavior can multiply the effectiveness of his rifle exponentially. In this case, a single elevated position transformed a seemingly innocuous structure into a decisive tool of warfare. The aftermath of the barn roof engagement rippled through both sides of the conflict. Allied and Soviet forces, or in other accounts, Finnish and German troops, depending on the theater, quickly recognized the tactical advantage created by elevated sniper positions. Commanders noted that the patrol's sudden halt and casualties were not merely the result of marksmanship, but of careful environmental exploitation and psychological pressure. A single sniper in the right position could dictate enemy movement, disrupt coordination, and delay operations for hours. The enemy, shaken by the incident, responded with a mixture of caution and countermeasures. Patrols were rerouted, reconnaissance intensified, and specialized sniper teams were dispatched to locate and eliminate the threat. Yet the sniper had already demonstrated an important lesson: mobility, concealment, and observation often outweighed brute force or numerical superiority. The barn roof nest was temporarily banned by higher command, not because it was ineffective, but precisely because its success made it difficult to control or replicate safely across larger operations. In the days following the engagement, the sniper refined his techniques. He began incorporating rotating vantage points, moving between different elevated structures, and varying firing angles to avoid detection. By combining improvised camouflage with natural cover, he maximized his survivability while continuing to inflict disproportionate damage on enemy forces. These innovations illustrated the adaptability of elite snipers, who could take ordinary elements of the battlefield barns, rooftops, rubble, and turn them into force multipliers. The impact extended beyond the immediate battlefield. Reports of the sniper's success spread quickly among both troops and officers, becoming a case study in urban and rural combat. Military manuals in the Soviet Union, Finland, and later in other armies emphasized the value of elevated observation points, improvisation, and concealment. The incident demonstrated that strategic ingenuity could compensate for limited resources and even overcome equipment limitations. From a psychological perspective, the barn roof nest created fear that far exceeded its physical footprint. Soldiers who encountered it or even heard of it were more cautious, moved slower, and hesitated at every open space. The enemy patrol that had been stopped became a cautionary tale, reinforcing the idea that one unseen sniper could hold an entire sector of terrain at bay. Historians often cite this engagement as an early example of how psychological warfare and precise marksmanship intersect in modern combat. The barn roof engagement also highlighted the critical role of improvisation in sniper operations. Unlike standardized firing positions or pre-prepared fortifications, the roof required ingenuity, balancing the rifle on uneven surfaces, accounting for wind gusts at elevation, and minimizing silhouette exposure. The sniper's ability to adapt to these challenges under combat pressure illustrated the combination of training, experience, and instinct necessary for extraordinary effectiveness. The barn roof sniper nest, though ultimately banned by higher command, left a lasting mark on military history. Its success demonstrated that individual skill, environmental mastery, and strategic ingenuity could outweigh sheer numbers or firepower. A single sniper, positioned with foresight and patience, could dominate an entire sector, halt patrols, and instill fear far beyond his immediate kill zone. For the sniper himself, the engagement solidified his reputation as a master of improvisation and precision. He had turned a simple structure into a battlefield tool, exploiting height, concealment, and observation to create lethal efficiency. His actions showcase the principle that in urban and irregular warfare, terrain is as much a weapon as any rifle or artillery piece. The psychological impact on enemy forces cannot be overstated. Soldiers who knew that a sniper might occupy elevated positions became cautious, hesitant, and slower in their movements. Commanders had to divert resources to counter sniper tactics, reroute patrols, and allocate reconnaissance teams to detect threats that were, in many cases, invisible until it was too late. The barn roof nest exemplified how fear and uncertainty could amplify the tactical effectiveness of a single marksman. Historians also emphasize that the engagement contributed to evolving sniper doctrine. Manuals and training programs began to highlight the value of improvised positions, elevated observation, and adaptive camouflage. The incident reinforced the lesson that creativity and situational awareness were as critical as technical marksmanship, and that elite snipers could multiply their effectiveness by exploiting terrain intelligently. The ban on barn roof nests, though initially frustrating to the sniper and his comrades, reflected the broader tension between innovation and command control. Military leaders recognized that while the nests were effective, they carried risks. Once discovered, they could attract heavy artillery or counter-sniper fire, potentially eliminating valuable personnel. Yet by the time the ban was enforced, the sniper had already demonstrated the principle that a well-prepared, highly skilled individual could decisively influence battlefield outcomes. The enduring lesson of the barn roof engagement is one of resilience, ingenuity, and adaptation. The sniper's success shows that limitations, whether equipment constraints, environmental challenges, or numerical inferiority, can be overcome with careful planning, patient observation, and tactical creativity. It is a story that continues to inspire military strategists, snipers, and historians, highlighting how a single decisive action can shape both the immediate conflict and broader perceptions of combat effectiveness. In modern military studies, the barn roof sniper nest remains a case study in the integration of terrain, psychology, and marksmanship. It demonstrates how elevated positions, when combined with concealment and patience, can create outsized effects on both enemy movement and morale. Beyond the technical lessons, the story celebrates human ingenuity under pressure, the ability of one determined individual to use environment, skill, and timing to achieve the impossible. Ultimately, the sniper who occupied the barn roof turned a modest structure into a platform of influence, halting an entire patrol and leaving a legacy that echoes in military history. The nest, once banned, became a symbol of how preparation, innovation, and skill can transform ordinary tools and spaces into extraordinary instruments of combat, proving that in warfare, sometimes the smallest actions have the largest consequences.